Hello, everyone, and for the last time, welcome to the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast, the podcast that has been about how to get your movie made, how to get it seen by other people, and how to get it awesome, how to make it awesome. I'm your host. It's been a little bit. We were looking at it right before the show started, and it's been over 6 months. So that is a thing. I'm your host, Gary Robinson. With me, as always, faithful co-hosts Chad Kukihiko and Valentina V. Hi, guys.
Hey, Gary.
How you doing?
Apparently, we're all super busy.
We're all pretty busy.
I think the current terminology is in Trump-adjusted terms. How are you?
It's true.
Well, thank you.
How are you doing?
I like that. I like
adjusted for Donald Trump.
Yes.
And adjusted for that.
And
you been okay?
For all the natural disasters that are happening currently.
Oh my God! Thoughts
Irma's
for
hitting right now. Thoughts and
Irma.
prayers.
Yeah.
And for everybody who just got hit by Harvey.
Yep.
Stop making noise. Why are you making noise?
I don't hear noise.
I don't hear it.
It's the voices.
Good.
Ignore the voices, Garrett.
It's been the voices. Oh man. Yes. So this is for anybody who's just tuning in and who didn't see the title of the stream, this is the last show. We talked and we decided, hey, we haven't done shows in a while. It's been a little bit sporadic.
It's been a lot of bit sporadic.
Been a lot of it sporadic.
You know, it's
again adjusted for Donald Trump.
Right. Well, we can't blame him for everything. Not this, at least.
I mean, can't we? No, we can't. I mean,
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah. Oh boy! If you are watching live, we would love it if you would leave some live comments. Chad also has Twitter open, so you can tweet at us on hashtag We Make Movies, and we will see that. Oh, it's Eric. Eric Altman is in the live chat, and he says, Eric says, "Now I am sad. We are sad too."
Yeah.
We are.
And as I said in the email that I sent to you guys about this, I am the same feelings that are making me sad right now are why this didn't happen sooner, because it was so sporadic and like juggling schedules, and we were doing we got to the point where we were doing one episode a month, and I kind of had the feeling that it was the right thing to do, but I really like talking to you.
That's the thing. I was down to do it when I could, because it's like you get to just catch up with your two friends and talk about movies for an hour. Like, who doesn't want to do that?
Yeah. Well, why don't we get into what our show is going to be about, by the way, guys?
Yes.
We're going to talk about, each of us is going to talk about what we've been up to over the past 5 months, because it's been 5 months since we've had one of these.
Which is wild.
Then we're each going to talk about basically whatever the heck we want to talk about, and then it'll just be sort of a free-for-all till the end.
Yes.
So Garrett, what have you been up to?
I've been up to I've been up to a lot since the last show, but I've only recently gotten back into production because there was whatever, I don't want to rehash it all here, but there was a couple of months where I was dealing with some personal family related stuff, which was pretty rough, but I'm back into work and everything, and it's been a bit wild. I've been writing. I finished a new book, which I have a dummy copy of it here. There's no an actual book inside here, but that is which I'm now realizing is probably going to be backwards on YouTube. No, it's not.
No.
Yay. No. Yeah. So that's coming out in maybe at the end of this month or maybe in the first couple of weeks of October. That's exciting, but more exciting than that, I've gone from author to publisher, and we've actually officially signed, literally with a contract, 3 authors who are also going to be writing books in this world, in my world of Underrealm. Yeah. So they are literally writing books right now. They are sending me the words. They are writing.
They're sitting down right now. You know, you have like spy cams in their house. That's how
I
you
do.
know.
That's in the contract. They have to have
Amazing.
a
I know
web.
you wanted to do something like this or
Yeah.
this exact thing for a while.
That's
Yes.
cool.
So I'm glad that that's happening. And are those going to be published, through your website or through Amazon? How are we going to see these things eventually when they do come out?
Through Amazon. Yeah, they're going to be published just like all of my books, and we've got a like our company will take a small percentage, but the majority is going to the authors because we're trying to set it up. You know how I talk? I think that I've talked a lot about how I'm not a super huge fan of traditional media industries and companies, and publishing has a history of making authors work very, very hard and then giving them like a tiny percentage of the sales of their books that they wrote. So we're trying to do it better than that because we haven't published books by other people yet, but we're going to. But like we know that when we put out a book and we publish it to our audience, we can make like a certain amount of money. And so like that's sort of basically what we're offering is like you create a book and it's in this world. It's all very coordinated, a la like Marvel Comics, where like all of the stories are like always building towards one thing together, but they are creating the thing and then we're giving it to our audience. It's like, hey, this is a new story in the world that you already love. And so, with them doing the lion's share of the effort, they would get the lion's share of the thing. So those are going to start coming out next year, pretty early next year. And who
are these other writers? Are they writers that you've known for a while, or are they?
Yeah, they're actually so they are very, very cool people who are authors who also became like a part of my community. Like they've been around since I've been doing my writing live streams for a very long time, and we've just gotten to be friends. And then they were like, hey, I'm writing this thing and and I go and check it out, and holy crap, they're really, really good. So they were the first people that I reached out to. Going forward into the future, we want to have more people, more authors, more stories. But I've tapped that particular resource. I don't have, there are some other really, really cool authors, but for one reason or another, it doesn't work. Like I have to start reaching outside of like my own little micro community on the internet now. So that's going to be exciting, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Cool.
And the other really big thing that I've been spending some time on recently that I'm super, super excited about, which is another thing that I've talked about on the show as wanting to do forever, is I am writing film scripts that we're probably going to start producing next year. Again, in the world as well. We're going to start producing some short films set in the world of Underrealm, because as you guys know, and as we've talked about before, like anybody can self-publish a film now. And I have done one. It doesn't really particularly make much money because there's no audience for it, but I have an audience that buys these. So maybe they'd be interested in a movie, and whether they are or not, I sure as fuck want to make one.
Right. And you guys do audiobooks too of the books, right?
Yes, that's a very long and involved process, but yeah, our first one came out in March, and we should have another one coming out in like November.
Are the fans snapping those up as well?
Oh yeah. We
That's
have
great.
a lot of people who have been like since the beginning is like, hey, could you make an audiobook? Could you make an audiobook? So that's been doing decent. But honestly, I do very little on that. Like it's with a company and they produce it and it goes out on Audible and it sells and then they just send me a check. So
you don't deal directly with like because I know a lot of people deal through like ACX, so they're just dealing directly with. So you go through a company, huh? When
ACX came out, it was fantastic.
Can you describe what that is for those?
It stands for the Audiobook Collaborative Exchange, and it's basically where you can go again self-publish your own audiobook. And they came out with these wacky terms that were so good for authors and for narrators, and they got everybody on board. And then after about 6 months, they totally changed all their terms, and now it kind of sucks to work with them a lot. So that sucks. Some people are still doing okay with it, but again, it's like the contract terms are so ridiculous and overbearing that I decided no. So I just went with a actual production company.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
So that's been my life.
Cool.
How about you,
V?
Yeah, since April, a big change has happened in my life. I quit my job that I was with at the to Aperture, which was camera accessories manufacturing company. So I was their creative content director, and after a while, because I kept getting all of these freelance opportunities that I was turning down, these like big branded travel freelance opportunities, and I kept turning them down. And after a while I was just like, you know what, like it doesn't make any sense for me to have a job where I'm turning down jobs that I really, really want to do. So yeah, it was actually right on the cusp of NAB, which was unfortunate for the company, but you know, I said I will stick it out through NAB, like we'll do the conference, I'll help you guys out, I'll stay extra time and like train my replacement, and then I will bow out. And that is what I did. And I am extremely happy by that decision, because now I am looking into potentially incorporating my own company and just being more production focused than manufacturing focused.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been cool. I've been to
I mean, and that's been your thing too for such a long time. I mean,
yeah, I've been freelance since about 2008, 2010.
Yeah.
But just,
production in particular, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know.
But I've just done it on the side, not as my main thing, because I didn't think it could sustain me. But look at this. Okay. Like it's sustaining. I'm doing just fine. Great. In fact, one thing that I wanted to mention, that in October is the big Adobe Max conference, which is like everything Adobe. It goes on for like a week, and I'm speaking. I'm one of the speakers at the conference, which is gonna be crazy. It's like a 75-minute presentation. I have to do it twice, and there's like 600 people pre-registered. So yeah, and you're gonna love the title of my talk. It's called "Produce Videos That Get Clicks."
Why is that so funny?
Sell out, sell out, sell out.
Just it's so me. Like, what else? And they even pitched that to me. Like, I didn't pitch it to them. They were like, "Do you want to do this this talk?" And then this was what it would be called. And I'm like, yeah, I would like to do that. Thank you.
I have to say, one of my favorite things about you, V, is this wacky dichotomy where you are so contemptuous of so many really, really commercial films that, despite their commercial aspect, Chad and I love, like the Marvel movies. Right. But when it comes to online video, you're like, fuck yeah, clickbait the shit out of that. I will get you 1 million views and start making you $10,000 a month. I'm all about that.
Yeah. I may be not all about that, but I certainly know how to do it. So
that's what I'm saying.
I'm teaching other people how to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
For the meager price of a Adobe Max pass ticket of like $2,000 or something. So great. I'm also, Adobe Stock is launching a new division in October, and I can't talk too much about it, but let's just say that I am heavily involved with that. And if you would like to know more, you can just like pay attention to my Twitter, because like when October comes around, I'm just going to be like screaming it from the rooftops. But
what is Adobe Stock? Is it like Getty Images or Corbis or something?
It's like, it's like a stock website, like Pond5 or whatever, and it has music, images, video, templates for Photoshop and Illustrator. Notice I didn't say templates for any other program. I wonder what they're launching in October.
So there's not as of yet stuff for After Effects either?
No.
Huh.
But we'll see what happens in October. But I'm very excited for that. I'm also working on a documentary film right now that I am basically editing the social cut downs for. And that's the first of them are going to come out like very soon. I cut the teaser for the whole documentary film already, and that's supposed to come out like any day, any hour now. So stay tuned to my Twitter for that as well. I can't talk about it. So many NDAs. Jesus, these people signed so many NDAs.
Yeah, it's like the whole freaking world is like all super secret until
the
launch. So
until
it happens.
All of a sudden, and Beyonce. And
I've been listening to a lot of podcasts with Hank Green recently. He's got this show called the ICG Creator Chat, which stands for Internet Creators Guild, which is actually a really kick-ass guild of people who, it's mostly YouTubers, but it's just anybody who makes a living online. And I'm sort of like getting into that community. And honestly, I don't have super huge goals for my YouTube channel, but learning how to make stuff online, there's a lot of stuff that crosses genres. Anyway, he talks about how the most annoying thing in the world to him, especially as he was growing his YouTube channel, was, I have a super cool thing I'm working on, but I can't talk to you about it yet because of like that whole NDA culture. Right. And now he is the guy who has to get NDAs from creators that he's starting new things with. And he's like, and I hate myself.
I love Hank Green. He and his brother are actually coming to, they're doing a tour for Turtles Way Down.
I know.
I was actually going to ask you because they're coming to Glendale and I have an extra ticket.
I mean, I'm already seeing them in Portland. It would be really hard to justify the trip. What's the date?
November 2nd.
What is this? I don't know what you're talking about.
John Green wrote a new book. It's coming out in October, and he and his brother are doing a book tour. He's doing the book tour, and Hank is coming along with him and doing like live shows everywhere. He's doing a book tour.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, if any of you can think of someone in LA who might be looking for an extra orchestra seat, I got that. So
I might just
see him twice.
Talk to my wife.
I mean, the flight is cheap. You can stay with me, and
but you could also be like, "Oh, I gotta go to LA for something else."
Oh, there's totally a big conference.
Really important stuff to do in LA. Oh, wait, sweetie, this is also happening.
What do you think about doing a miniature book tour for the book? What if we were in LA on like November 2nd? Oh, hey, do you know what else is happening? What?
By the way, Garrett, did anything happen to your friends in Sunland? Because there was a huge fire there like a week ago, and
yeah, that was wild. Nothing. Everyone was fine. Okay. Everybody was freaked out, and my Facebook feed. Not that I go on Facebook ever, but when I did glance at Facebook, it was literally just pictures of flames. I was like, Facebook has turned into Mordor. Cool.
That's hilarious.
We had a big fire up here. It was wild. It's like
fire's freaking everywhere, man.
Yeah,
whole world is on fire.
What are you up to, Chad?
So I've been up to a lot. I've been working on there was one project that Kendall and I came on board, and it was a total freebie because it was like 2.5 pages long for a really good friend of ours too. And then it exploded, and it became 10 pages a week before we started.
How did you get the 10 pages back together after it exploded? Because that's just Patrick Duncan's also in chat. He says, "Hi guys, speaking of fire."
I don't know what that means. I laughed though anyway.
I think it's just because like he's so hot, he's on fire.
Yeah, announcing his presence.
Oh no, that was a preface. I just visited the old Jess and Laura location today to see the damage. Yeah, I heard that like completely burned down or whatever. Anyway, while we wait for the next episode of Patrick telling us what happened. So the project, I don't know what I want. It was fascinating how
film, right?
Huh?
Film?
It was a film. It was a short film, and it just the scope of it exploded. It went from like this little 2.5 page thing in a nightclub, in a small little nightclub, to what eventually became a 12-page script, which I got at 2 a.m. the night before the shoot, and I'm supposed to be first AD, and I get an extra Oh man, it was an interesting situation.
Get it done.
I want to be. We did do it. We busted our humps. Everybody busted their humps on it. But Kendall
Sounds
and I
fun.
did not. This is the most fun part. Kendall and I were ignored on Facebook by the two directors. They decided we were not worthy of thanking.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we got a very interesting email from the two of them, and that was fun too. A lot of fun. It's
Hashtag fun.
The key to that is like you gotta like you're not everybody is going to, even people who seem like they're really awesome for whatever reason, they're not always going to have any idea how much work you're doing.
Yeah.
And they may, for whatever reason, whatever stuff they got going on, might, sort of dub in whatever craziness is going on with them at a given point in time. So it's really, you really have to, as a performer, as an artist, you have to be in charge of your own confidence. You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah.
that was the lesson that we learned from that.
In your own time too. I had something like that recently where I submitted, I had a contract for a, not a daily rate for editing, but a flat rate for the project. And I submitted, and in the contract, it said that I was to only have one revision per video. And then they,
you mean one round of revisions?
Yeah, one round of revision. Right. In the round of revisions, they were saying things like, why don't we try, or like, let's see if this works. And I had to put my foot down and say, hey guys, like, just give me the notes. I will give you the revision, and that's it.
And if you need more, you can pay the
hourly. You can pay for it, because I can't. I'm not. I can't be on call 24/7.
No, that's for sure.
This is for sure. This is actual work. So
that is everything creative. And that goes to, working on websites, to designing stuff for people. You have to do that. You have to say, this is how many revisions you get. And after that, we move to hourly. If you're going to get a per project rate, that's anyway. So that happened. But I've got two other big projects, actually 3 other projects that I'm really very excited about. One is the We Make Movies app. It's just been taking a lot longer because of these other projects. They keep because those are all time sensitive. This one keeps getting pushed back to the back burner constantly, but the excitement has not gone away. And I can't wait to share that with you guys. Off the Grid, which we're still sort of shopping as time has gone on, though. A lot of the references have it's moved so freaking fast nowadays. It's like if you don't have Snapchat in it, and even though by the time we finish it, probably Snapchat will already be freaking done. It'll go the way of the Foursquare. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm still excited about the project. We just have to find a new way to get it out there. But the main one that I'm really super excited about right now is this freaking musical that I'm working on. It's theater. It's theater. And who would have thought I would have been back in theater? But oh my God, this show is so good. And right now we're actually shooting a short film version of it. We raised some funds on Kickstarter. And so we are doing that. And the 3 creators on the show are very excited about that. But I really think that this show does best live. I mean, we did 2 shows about a week and a half ago at the Rockwell in Hollywood. And the first show, people went so bonkers for it that the second show sold. We only had like half the house sold for the second night. We were really trying to pack the first night. And the second night was really like, we were like, oh, we don't know. We'll just be like, whatever. If it's half empty, that's fine. It's sold out.
Wow.
In 12 hours. Like, people went so freaking bonkers over it. One of my coworkers, she was like, oh my God, it was so good. She came back the next day and brought her sister with her, and it's such a the thing. And I've been, ever since we first started working on this about a year and a half ago. Well, I didn't start working on this. I mean, ever since I became a part of it and became aware of it, I did no writing on this. I'm just the producer. I really liked it. I really, really liked it. And then after the election, I'm sure I've talked about this in past shows, but in light of the election, it became important in a way that I didn't. And then in the months since, what it seems like is people are disgusted by there. And we can get into this a little bit of the main topics. I mean, I probably will on mine, but but people are so kind of disgusted by our own government in
Yeah.
a way never, ever, ever witnessed before. And our own values as a country. There, it's just that a show like this that is just so completely, I guess tolerant is the word. The way I kind of describe it to people is that it's like a WMD against intolerance, this show. I mean, it just, and it's so like, it's so much fun. And you go and see it. And that's the interesting thing, is it's not actually political. You know what I mean? We don't ignore what's going on. And there's like a comment here and a joke there, but like probably half a dozen throughout the entire 2-hour show. Or it's not even quite 2 hours. It's more like an hour and a half, but that's it. Not much, but it's just the way that it's hard to explain, but it's just a fun, simple, what do you call it? Romance, love story, but with some really fantastic music, and the way that we don't, like people just love each other and do, you have to see that to really, and see it live to see what this show is really capable of.
So all right, so you're pushing for more live.
Yes, I haven't figured that out yet. But anyone who's interested, go to hipstersweatshopmusical.com and just sign up on our newsletters. I have a bunch of ideas. I'm trying to hash them out. It was just a week and a half ago, whatever, maybe 2 weeks at this point.
You got to record the soundtrack and publish that on iTunes. That worked out really well for Lin-Manuel Miranda. I mean, he already had a show on Broadway, didn't he? That. I mean, show on Broadway.
Which, by the way, I saw not too long ago.
Did you like it? Yeah.
What? Of course, I loved it.
As much as you expected to. I mean, yeah, I know you already.
Probably more.
Even more, really?
Yeah. Wow. There's nothing like seeing it live. I've listened to the cast recording 50 times. I've gone to no less than 5 sing-alongs.
Before you even saw the actual play.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's powerful. Like there's nothing like it for a reason. And I'm going again September 20th.
Can I be honest with you?
Yes.
I've been resisting it because Aaron Burr was not a bad guy. I'm a history guy. The
guy who committed treason and tried to become emperor of Mexico?
No.
Aaron Burr?
They don't paint him as the bad guy. That's the thing, Chad, is that the entire time they paint Aaron Burr as like a foil to Hamilton, but Hamilton is the dipshit and Aaron Burr's the one who's always doing the right thing. It's even narrated.
Really? He's not always doing the right thing. He
literally always does the right thing, except for that one time at the end where he happens to shoot Hamilton and then all of history turns on him. But Aaron Burr's the narrator of the musical Hamilton.
He's not always doing the right thing.
The whole musical is telling him his
Leslie Odom Jr.
Leslie Odom.
Yeah. So who does that other guy play who's like on everything now? Who's on
Lin-Manuel Miranda?
No, the other guy,
Daveed Diggs.
Yeah, Daveed Diggs. What is he?
He plays Lafayette and Thomas Jefferson.
Okay. Lin-Manuel Miranda, you just got a show on Broadway. What are you going to do now? That's what I'm going to say.
Self-publish.
Self-publish. Yes.
I would definitely listen to it because it is not at all exalting Alexander Hamilton
or denigrating Aaron Burr.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, it's like telling the story and actually Aaron Burr gets all the good songs. He gets like all the good lines.
But isn't he the bad guy though?
No, there is no bad guy. Well, there's maybe Thomas Jefferson's kind of an asshole, but he's an asshole. He's not a bad guy.
Oh, I see. I heard Burr was a bad guy, and then I was like, what?
No. What's actually funny, this is what I heard from my friend who's pretty obsessed with Hamilton as well as history, is that Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote the part of Aaron Burr for himself. He wanted to play that. And then as the show was getting huge, he realized that for multiple reasons, but partly for his career, he should put himself in the title role instead. Yeah. And it works out so well because while there is no clear hero or villain, just because of the scope of the narrative, Hamilton is like slightly more like favored by the people in the play than Aaron Burr is, but Lin-Manuel, just on a straight up aesthetic level, Lin-Manuel Miranda's voice is just nowhere near Leslie Odom Jr.'s. And so you've got this guy who's ostensibly the hero of the play who kind of sounds like an annoying jackass. And then you've got the guy who's like the more political sort of smooth operator who you're maybe not supposed to like as much, but he sings and talks in these dulcet tones and you're just like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And that juxtaposition is actually fucking brilliant. Like if you swapped their roles, the whole thing would work so much less well.
Okay. Yeah, and the thing about Leslie Odom Jr. is that like he's so good in that role. He won.
So good.
He was up against Lin-Manuel for the Tony for Best Actor, and and Leslie won. You know, Burr won the Tony instead. Like that's how good the role is. So.
Yeah. Oh wow, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
But that's why he's the narrator. That's why he has the best songs. That's why he's great. Yeah. Cool. No, you should definitely check it out.
I mean, especially since I'm producing
a musical.
Yes.
Yeah.
So some of my ideas for it, though, by the way, are to kind of follow in the footsteps of the Dan Band and like just try to find. But it's going to be hard. Like this cast is so good, it's hard to get them all together. And our freaking band was so amazing too. They're all like musician, like studio cats.
Yeah,
you know, they're like on the road with everybody all the time. So getting them
That's the thing about LA is that like they're there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway,
there's no there.
Yeah. So should we segue into the main sort of topics what we want to yap about?
Let's do that. My main topic is a bit of a downer that it's our last episode, and I'm just freewheeling here. I didn't even like put a whole thing together, but I have noticed a bit of a heartening trend recently when it comes to social justice issues in film that I think things are getting better. One thing that's happening right now, I don't know if you guys have noticed this happening on Twitter, is the No Confederate movement. Do you know anything about this?
Like, you mean people trying to get the statues down?
No. So, okay. So David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are the creators of Game of Thrones. I mean, the show.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Okay. So they have now sold a new show to HBO called Confederate. That is an alternate history show where the Confederacy won the Civil War, and now there are two countries which have had multiple civil wars, and it's in the third one, and it's you know, like, but they have an entire country with slavery in it, and black people, just kind of in general, as well as some other people, myself included, were like, what? Like, what?
Well, what about The Handmaid's Tale then? I mean, this is the thing that I haven't quite understood about this. Like The Handmaid's Tale, you know what I'm saying? Like, why is it okay?
In the High Castle?
I think that The Handmaid's Tale, I mean, I don't have a super opinion on it one way or the other, and it's not my lane, so I'm not going to like try and speak authoritatively on it. I don't know that I don't know that I like The Handmaid's Tale. I mean, first of all, you know, like just on a strictly personal level, not speaking to whether it's, you know, yay or nay, it is fucking depressing as shit.
Yeah.
It is just nobody wins. Everything is bad. And part of the critique that I see about The Handmaid's Tale is that people like us see it as a cautionary tale, and a lot of people see it as an instruction manual or a rallying cry or this is the way it should be. But regardless,
God, I've never heard that. Like, that's,
Jesus. I mean,
we live in a liberal bubble.
Hold on, let me just look up.
No, but the other thing about
here's the other thing about The Handmaid's Tale is it's based on a book that was written by a woman,
by Margaret Atwood. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing for Man in the High Castle.
Right.
Was it Philip?
Was written by a Nazi?
No.
And so
Adolf Hitler.
And so like Black Twitter as a collective has started this movement, No Confederate. Every Sunday night as Game of Thrones was happening, and now every week when whatever Sunday night other Sunday night shows are happening. Like, for example, Insecure, which I'm now watching, which is fantastic, by the way. Pretty much every single tweet, like while they're live tweeting an HBO show, they include the hashtag no Confederate.
Well,
and
can I be on the other side for just half a second?
Sure.
Like, I don't know the script. I don't know the script. I don't know the point. I don't know. Like, to me, shutting down art.
I want you to imagine if the guy who created the Hula app announced that he was making a show where
that's different.
It's not though.
Totally different.
It's not though.
A show is not complete and total cultural misappropriation.
Okay, but if the guy who made the Hula app was making a show about Hawaiian culture, wouldn't you just be like, no, not you.
But they're not slavers.
What? They're not slavers, but they have had a shitty track record on race, and they have responded to people criticizing their shitty track record on race.
Well, that's valid.
Fucking horribly.
No, that's valid. That's valid.
Really bad.
Yes, that's valid. So I didn't know about that. But that's
if somebody came out and said Ava DuVernay is making a show called Confederate, exact same thing. Ava DuVernay is doing it.
Right.
I mean, I don't think anybody would have a problem with it.
No. Yeah, I get it.
So that,
but
movement,
the thing is that I think that I saw something on a TED Talk the other day. I don't know if it was a real TED Talk. It might have been a TEDx, whatever. I can't tell the difference. Sometimes you really can, though. Sometimes you really can. But this was a good one. It was a very well produced one. And it was this guy who had done a video on YouTube, just him talking into his camera about how his good friend had been killed by police violence. And this had happened, this is like around Mike Brown or something like that. And it was a long time ago, and it just exploded. This guy got really, really famous. And so he got just, whatever on YouTube. So, and he did more of these, and the more he did, the more sort of famous he got. But as you know, when you get famous on YouTube for stuff like this, you get trolls galore. So he got tons of trolls, and he would try to interact with some of them. He would be like, and he said that some of them he was like, there's somebody with a brain in there. I don't understand how you're getting. So he created a fake profile of like a racist white dude. And he wanted to see what it was like. So he went into all these other sites. By the way, he's not white. He's, he went into these sites, and he was just like kind of trolling. And finally, at a certain point, he started to, because in the meantime, he had actually started this organization where they're getting people together to talk about stuff. Like they were getting in his neighborhoods, they were getting together like gang leaders with business leaders, and they were talking about like, hey, how can we work together? How can we do this? And so he started to expand that organization to getting the people to talk about race and race relations and stuff like that. And so he used that while he was in there. He was slipping. He was like, hey, you should check this out. And he was just totally like anti-trolling. You know what I mean? He was like in their space. And it was one of the most fascinating things, but it got me thinking, because it got me thinking. The other day I met a guy, and he seemed like a reasonable guy, and he felt embattled. This guy, a man who felt like he could not, be a white man, that he felt like that he is the butt of every joke, and he can't, and he just felt embattled. And I get that you can feel that way. You know what I mean? I get that. And I know that in certain situations you can be, but it doesn't compare. I'm not saying it compares.
Right.
But it is. But the idea, for the first time, because I know that, someone I really care about, her dad is like this. And for a long time, I was like, I don't care. And just hearing this guy talk, this black guy who would, and having some empathy with these guys that he was talking about, it made me, like, for the first time, be like, wow, I think that on the one hand, our problem in many ways as liberals is that we tend to give the other person's point of view more credence than our own. And I think that that's actually a problem sometimes. It's obviously a good thing because we are empathic. We're empathetic when we lead with that. whereas people on the right aren't necessarily. They're intrepid and courageous, but they are like, my way is the way. And I felt like to some degree, ever since the election, I had become that. You know what I mean? Like, fuck those guys, blah, blah, blah. And for the first time, I was like, wait. Maybe I needed to hear this. Maybe I need to be able to see it, actually see it. Maybe be able to actually have a communication. Maybe actually be able to talk to some of these people for the first time.
I don't think I could. I might just punch a bitch, but I did watch the hugely viral Vice News HBO Charlottesville documentary that was like 22 minutes. And
did you see that, Garrett?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
Like, I had.
Those are not the guys I'm talking about, just for the record.
Right? No, because I would. Yeah, but it's still something that really got to me was, you know, when I watched that, I was shocked, and I was reading an article that a Black friend of mine posted, and she said, and the article basically said, like, you know, white people, like, stay out of this discussion, like, this is not for you. And I sort of responded to that, and like, well, how can I help? Like, is there any way I could help? Like, I don't want to negate your struggle. I don't want to pretend like I know, but is there any way to help? And she said, you know, the fact that you're even shocked is a letdown.
Right.
Like, the fact that this is even a surprise to you. And I'm like, fuck, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that's the thing. I understand what you're saying about wanting to be more empathetic to the other point of view. The problem is that we see so very, very often that in liberal circles that only goes a certain way. And more often what we
that's true
can see is like, oh no, what I did, no, I'm super liberal. No, what I did could not possibly have been racist. No, you don't. You don't understand. You don't know. You don't understand. You don't know me. I was not being racist when I said the N-word. I'm right. That's what I do. I say the house N-word. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes. And like, but in the past, when there has been us and really any degree of backlash, HBO has been famously not
responsive,
and they are having to respond to this. It is big enough and it is picking up traction enough.
I'm glad I had this conversation with you, because I obviously didn't know enough about it.
Right.
Because knowing all that backstory, that makes it much more. I didn't know about the, and I think that's really the key here.
Yeah.
Is that, and that's why, to some degree, you know, the fact that, you know, our phones are freaking everywhere now, the fact that this is out in the open.
Yeah.
I never, you know what, let me just hold that thought. When I start to talk about my thing, then I'll get into it. But
all right.
What surprises me is that there is this history of problematic behavior from them. However, HBO, Game of Thrones is still a #1 show.
Right.
Like, no one says shit about it.
I mean, that's not true.
But like,
a lot of people say shit about it.
I guess
I am now. This is a huge turnaround for me, and Chad, you will probably be happy about this. Back in the day, you and me were like show versus books. Like, we were on opposite sides of the coin. And now I still hold that the show back in the day did certain things really, really well and was a more enjoyable experience for me as a viewer than reading the books in certain aspects, not in certain other aspects. But the last few seasons have just been,
this last one in particular
seems, I like caught all the way up.
And I'm like, I looked at some, you know, so in past seasons there would be certain moments where I was like, fucking Christ, could something happen? This is so slow. This is like, you have an entire episode of filler. And I feel like this season, they were like, fine, you want stuff to happen? You want no filler? We'll just cut out everything.
I think they're rushing.
Zombies, fire dragons, ice zombies.
Like, hey, spoilers.
None of it made any sense.
Spoiler alert.
I thought you said right.
For like everyone listening.
Yes, right. Well, Yeah, no, it is. It's moving really fast.
But
And it's moving impossibly fast,
Yes.
illogically fast, stupidly fast.
Yes,
anyway, but that is that. So anyway, the not only the reaction, but then HBO's counter reaction and the fact that they are having to react, that they can't just ignore this, I see as a positive note. The other really big thing, this is literally the first instance of this that I have seen, period, anywhere, that I consider really, really positive, is there is an upcoming Hellboy movie, and actor, rapper. Apparently he's a rapper as well, but I've seen him act in other things before. There is an actor named Ed Skrein, whatever. Eddie Boy. He was cast in a role that in the comics, the character in the comics was Asian. Now, he was cast in this Asian role, and there was, as there is these days more often, which again I think is a positive thing, there was a backlash. And as soon as he found out that about this backlash, he looked into it, and then he released a statement that said, "Yo, I did not know that this character was Asian. I would not have taken the role if I did, and I am stepping down from the role so that they can cast someone more appropriate." And I was just like, see, like, and he's not just
the thing that's what made him famous. That's what his name lit up all over the media because of that.
Right. Exactly. Here's the thing. He's not somebody who could live for the rest of their life comfortably on their income. He's not prominent examples recently. He's not Scarlett Johansson. He's not Emily Blunt. He's not, what's his face?
Emma Stone.
Huh? Emma Stone. You know, like,
what's his face? I don't think. As far as I know, unless she's transitioned recently, but I would say I've seen him in a few things, but he's a fairly mid-list, maybe lower list actor, and he did the right thing. And I'm just like, dude, fucking A. So I think that things are getting better. I think it's taking a while, but I do think that things are getting better. And that's my main topic. That's what's happening. That's what I see and observe happening. I think it's going to continue to improve, and I am super, super happy about it. Cool. Good.
Yeah.
V money.
Well, I've had a little bit more experience with the Hollywood side of things recently because I was on the red carpet for the Video Music Awards.
Ooh.
I was shooting interviews, and prior to that day, I was also shooting interviews for the Video Music Awards. And it was like, God damn it, I do not want to work in this industry. Like, oh gosh, like with every experience I've had with like big Hollywood, I've just been turned off. Like working at Paramount, working with this, it's just the culture of obsession around people who are actors or singers. Like, it's their jobs to be entertainers, and they're just doing their jobs. And I don't necessarily, and have never felt that they really needed to be, worshipped for it, for just doing their jobs. And even more so now, just the way that like people fly in and worry and rent hotels and buy outfits just so that they can interview a celebrity for 5 minutes. Like, their whole life revolves around this awful celebrity culture that we have going on. And I was thinking, sort of in a what would this world look like scenario. I was like, what if there was a world in which cinematographers and directors and like production designers were the ones on all the late night talk shows, were the ones who people paid attention to on the red carpet just as much as the actors.
Who's the brand? Wild. They do these commercials. They did a commercial of like this woman who was a Nobel laureate, like she got a Nobel Prize and she was a celebrity. Like, they did a whole a commercial campaign about that. And it was like this older lady, and people were like, oh my God, she's eating lunch, and there's a whole campaign about that kind of thing. I think that is an interesting
thought. There was a video recently, Attention made it, ATTN, about like, what would the world look like if we treated teachers the way that we treat sports stars?
Mm-hmm.
And with every new encounter that I have freelancing in the industry, I become more and more disillusioned and I become more and more bitter towards the fact that like people are just so shallow and they're so goddamn like they disregard artistry completely for these incredibly meager things like what are you wearing, or you know, like what food did you have for lunch, instead of actually paying attention to the artistry. That is why I've been, I guess, drawn to the software side of things, is because at least they're like in that world of things.
Software, right.
Yeah, like Adobe, and like I did a thing with LumaForge recently, and it's just been like, or even with Aperture when I was working for them on the hardware side, it's just like I tend to respect all of those engineers a lot more than I respect the people who go in front of the lens. And that's why I think as of late, I've decided that I'm not going to direct actors in front of cameras. But that is not for me.
Valentina hates actors. You heard it here first on the final episode.
I don't hate actors. I think that there's a lot of no. I think it's an important distinction, because there's a lot of actors who are not just puppets, right? They're like, they are producing, or they're writing, or they're talking about their character. They're infusing some of their own experiences into a work of art. But there are a lot of actors, and I'm going to go ahead and say like 90%, who just want to act because it will make them famous.
I don't know. That's a very high percentage.
I would say so. I think the actors that we know are not in that percentage, and I think that that's maybe why you think of it. But like,
it's not just
like people coming.
I've been in this industry for a really, really long time. I've known a ton of actors. I've gone to school with actors. Do you know what I'm saying? So 90%.
That's what you're saying, is that you've gone to school with people who actually, you know,
exactly.
look at it as artistry, and look at it as, you know, their craft.
But you can't call somebody who's working at attending bar and never going to even getting auditions or anything like that. You can't call them an actor just because they call themselves an actor.
I'm not calling them an actor. I'm saying that most people want to become actors because of the celebrity that comes with it.
That also might be colored by being in Los Angeles. Just saying. Might be one of the reasons I moved.
There's plenty of the type of actor that I'm talking about.
Yeah, there is, and you hang out with them, but I'm not. But I'm saying that there's plenty that you don't hang out with that are just very, you know, in it for the fame. And I mean, whether that percentage is accurate or not, is I've met a lot of them. Like I've met a lot of those people, and that's why I'm saying like I don't dislike actors, but there are a lot of actors that are only doing it for reasons that are wholly, you know, superficial.
Yeah.
So it sort of disillusioned me from working on from directing actors. But yeah, I think these days I'm going more for the documentary side of things and for the nonfiction side of things. Unless, of course, like whatever the work of art is, the film, whatever, has some sort of socio-political message behind it. Cool. But that's just my thought.
Interesting.
Cool. I don't want to jump on your time though. Are you?
I don't. I think I'm over my time because we're already like edging close.
We're only doing 2 segments today. We can go a little bit over. Yeah. I hear you. I think that I don't think that you're wrong. I don't think that you're wrong at all. That's actually a really bad way to start this sentence, because then it's like, I don't think you're wrong, but like I don't think you're wrong. And I guess what sort of like what I'm thinking of when you say that is like what makes me not feel the same, not come to the same conclusion in the end. And I think it is because I fucking love the work, and in order to get to the work and enjoy it, I do need to work with people who aren't like that. And that means there's a sifting process for sure. You got to find the ones, you know, you have to find like the people who we know and who are in our community and everything like that. But when you get them, boy, it's just the best thing. It just feels so good. I just like it. I like it a lot.
You sound like you're pooping.
I'm pooping.
I mean, I actually, despite the fact that I don't entirely agree with the 90%, I actually, what you're saying to me is not at all a shock or a surprise at all. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's.
No, it's not.
You know.
Yeah, it's not like a shock or a surprise. It's just as someone who came to Los Angeles to sort of work in the movie business, it's over the years I've been developing like a sort of my own thoughts about the movie industry as a whole. And I think maybe that's why I'm drawn to digital so much, because it's mostly nonfiction. It's mostly not narrative. And God, like the stuff that is narrative is just rough, unless it's like Felicia Day and the Guild, or, you know, Netflix, Hulu, what have you. So, yeah, that's just something I've been thinking a lot about lately, because as a freelancer, you know, I am pulled for time. Like I'm pulled in like 12 different directions, and I have to choose what thing am I going to do? What project I'm going to spend my energy on? And these days when people are asking me like, oh, do you want to like shoot this short film, for example? And I'm finding that I'm turning them down because it just like doesn't speak to my heart.
Yeah. And that's right. I mean, that's exactly what you should be doing. You know what I mean? I mean, the key is like, to me, the way I see this town, the way I see this industry is it's a ton of ecosystems, right?
Right.
It's like these people at the top are, you know, this world that they've created is very specific. It's got like, whether they realize it or not, it's got values, just like We Make Movies does. Whether they realize it or not, they've got like, you know, rules and stuff like that.
Gatekeepers.
Exactly. And some of them just suck, and some of them don't. Like I have tons of friends who they make obscene amounts of money. Not tons of friends, but I've got several friends who make obscene amounts of money that I would not trade places with them for anything, because the level of backstabbing and the level of like just, you know, it's just, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be playing Game of Thrones in life. You know what I mean? I don't want to, you know, and that's what these guys have to do. It's super Machiavellian, and I'm not into that at all. But there are some other friends that, you know, and there are plenty of other, like for everything I've heard about, like The Office, for instance, you know, the show The Office, that production company, everything sounded amazing, fun, supportive, you know what I mean? And there's tons of those. I think the key is that don't assume, I mean, I'm not just saying this to you. I think in general, saying this to people that are out there, the first people you meet or work with, or some of the most successful, rather, the whole world isn't like them. You know what I mean? And that's just, now I'm not saying this is a lesson that we had to learn. I'm constantly having to relearn this lesson, is that, you know, you may be in business with somebody and you think they're really great, and then you find out that they're complete shits. You know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't mean the whole industry is like that. It doesn't.
Right.
But I'm constantly having to be like, man, that was awful. That experience was not what I wanted. But
also, there's so many other like parts that play into it.
Yeah.
Like, say you want to be an independent filmmaker, right? Like, if you want to make an independent film, then great. Like, it's so hard to make any sort of money. You're basically throwing away your time for your passion, and that's fine. And then if you want to make something that generates money, it's usually, you know, you're a tiny little cog in a large machine, and it's hard to get anything made or to get anything up there. So it's just, there's so many things. There's so many factors that go into making a piece of art or a piece of media, that it's overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
Totally.
So if I'm going to move on,
sure,
if that's okay. So I'm going to probably truncate a bit what I was planning on talking about. I wanted to actually talk about two different things. First of all, I wanted just kind of talk about, you know, why we started this podcast in the first place, since this is the last of it. You know, I think that when we first started this, we were trying to kind of come to terms and trying to to kind of figure out and bat around the quickly changing industry at the time. And we've been doing this, geez, how many years has it been? We've been doing this for 4 years,
like 4 or 5 years.
4 years now.
Yeah,
however long it's been. A lot has changed in this industry since then. Like for instance, when we first did this for a good year, HBO did not have an app.
Yep.
And they were denying that they were even going to develop one. And then suddenly one day they were like, oh yeah, no, yeah, we were lying.
Yeah.
Here's the app. This is how much you pay. And I was calling them on it the whole time. I was like, those motherfuckers they're going to do something. And now all the things that people said when we first started this thing, cable TV's here to stay. Digital will never take its place. All that stuff. Like now it's like,
remember that old gem?
Remember that? And I was saying it was BS the whole time. So in terms of why we started the show, I feel like it really did serve its purpose. You know what I mean? Like we were coming to terms with a quickly changing industry. Now I think it's moving. It's still continuing to move, but a lot of those stupid ideas that people were like lying to themselves about are no longer, acceptable. And now everybody knows digital and blah, blah, blah. Now it's trite.
I think it's homogenizing almost, like film and TV and digital formats are homogenizing, and so are like the distribution platforms. It's all evening out, and I love it.
Again, all stuff I was saying long before, so it's kind of served its purpose. Now, the reason why, and I just wanted to, since this is the last show, the reason why, at least for me, why I don't think I'm interested in doing, again, all the other things aside, that I love hanging out with you guys, etc. But despite that, I feel like this election going the way that it did is such a shock to the system. And to me, it was really disillusioning. Yeah. And I know I've talked about this on at least one of our other 4 episodes this year. but Kendall and I are leaving this country in the spring now. It keeps getting pushed back just because of these other projects that I'm working on. And that, by the way, I'm bummed that I'm going to be, because all of these projects I'm so excited by. But I'm not going to, like, at least one of them I'm going to keep working on even once I'm gone. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the truth of the matter is I feel like since I've had time to kind of really digest it, this country is not what we thought it was, I don't think. And I don't mean to like insult you guys. I'm not. That's not my
right. No.
The American people are amazing people. But what at least 2 of the 3 bodies of government have turned into they're completely being run by big business, 100%. Like there was to some degree there, and to some degree I feel like this was probably already happening and I just didn't really notice. But now it's so like no one even bothers to hide it anymore. Right. You know what I mean? And that's but again, to be honest with you, I would stick around if Kendall and I weren't planning on having kids, but I don't want to raise kids here in this country. The main 3 things, although this love of Confederacy should be up there with the others, but the main 3 things are healthcare system, a sensible freaking healthcare system, a sensible education system that is affordable for human beings, and the freaking gun control, the complete and utter lack, the gun worship in this country. Those 3 things are the 3 things that make me not want to raise a kid here. But if we weren't having kids, I would fight to fix those. But also this freaking love of Confederate, like, why? This makes no sense. It makes no sense. I mean, why are we so these guys tried to tear apart the country. Right. You know what I mean? For slavery. And that is insane.
Oh, but it wasn't about slavery.
Yeah, right. I mean, everybody knows.
For anyone who just is like totally joking, obviously, I am parodying people who say that stupid thing.
Right. And everyone knows that that's a lie. I mean, like, even as they say it.
So where are you going, Chad? Have you announced?
Well, by the way, all 3 of the countries that we're looking at have those 3 things. They all have their own problems on top of that, but those three things they got on lock. We're looking what's going to happen in the spring is once we've got, you know, these other things cooking, or once we've tried just as hard as we could for as long as we could, that's the deadline for us. I'm just going to, at a certain point, I'm going to start dropping resumes to ad agencies in 4 different cities. And the first one that really can, you know, wants me bad enough to sponsor my work visa, that's where we're going to end up going. I mean, if I have multiple, then it'd be even more great to be able to decide. But Vancouver, Sydney, Melbourne, and Auckland.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nice. Highly recommend Auckland. Can recommend it.
I knew you would say that.
Just
I
saying.
was just like waiting. I was like 3, 2, 1. Garrett.
Saying New Zealand's basically the best place in the world.
There is this unbelievable freaking there's this unbelievable like dance troupe there. I don't know why I've started to get into dance. Like I'm watching dance troupes on, like, I don't know if you know Kyle Hanagami. He's
Yes,
a choreographer. It's freaking good. Some of it,
you're talking
not
about
all.
Royal Family, right? The New Zealand
Royal Family, man. Royal Family. I'm not even kidding. Like if that's where we end up going, I'm going to reach out to them and see if we could collaborate on a hipster sweatshop production there.
If you go to New Zealand, you better let me know, because I'm going to be coming and visiting you all the time.
Yeah, like you come and visit LA all the time. Ooh.
I've been to LA
Allman
3 times since I moved up here.
Allman is saying that Melbourne has great things, but he says that the racism there is so casual. I'm curious, is that against the
probably
Aboriginals?
Probably, yeah. I've heard that. And I think that I heard that there was a bit of that when it comes to New Zealand, but that New Zealand in particular has, like, the government itself has taken like drastic steps to, like, in particular, Maori sacred lands are like beyond protected.
Yeah.
And
Royal Family is like mostly Maoris.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So those are the people I want to hang with. Right. Well, plus Kendall, wherever we're going, Kendall's definitely going to be doing some serious hula. You know what I mean? Like really getting into it. So anyway, that's it. That's all I had to discuss.
I actually didn't. I had this like really depressed state of mind, and then I went to the Dominican Republic, and then I went to the Philippines, and then I came back here, and realized that as a white
those
female,
are third world countries, though.
I know,
you know what I mean?
those are third world countries. Like,
yeah.
but you still can compare the quality of life. Like they're still on Earth, you know. Like I was born in a third world country. Like I am an immigrant. So comparing like the quality of life of those people and just like I saw things that I would never see in my life, like slums and people not having any sanitation and just like people just living on top of each other. And it really woke me up, and I was like, God damn it, like we have to take care of our country, you know. We still have so much here that
we have a lot, but I mean, like the damage that's getting done right now, the damage that, like, yeah,
I mean, I'm not trying to negate that there's damage getting done, like, but I also, in comparison to like the rest of the world, to the non-developed world, but that is like,
I mean, yeah, but there are, on the other hand, you can go downtown and see shanty towns galore, and there are countries in Europe that you would never find a shanty town. You know what I mean? Like there's countries in Europe, there's countries where they all have their own problems. Everybody has their own problems, but as far as I'm concerned, the values that you raise your children with, like that's the country where you are is those are the values that you're going to be giving them. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the key. And I get, and I'm not planning on moving to a third world country. You know
I'm
what
not
I mean?
saying you are. I'm saying that just gave me a lot of perspective, as someone who had forgotten what it was like to be in a third world country.
Right.
Who, I mean, as a person who is a white citizen who lives in California and has an income, you know, a lot of and has an income to afford like private health insurance, et cetera, et cetera. Like a lot of the things that the administration right now is cutting, including, you know, education, including, you know, supporting, like a lot of these things don't affect me directly. So I don't feel them as strongly. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's a fact. And I became ignorant of it.
Yeah.
I became ignorant of my own privilege. So when I went to these countries and I saw how people lived, I started evaluating, like, how do people live in my country and how do I live in my country? And what are the privileges afforded to me that other people don't get, you know?
I get that, but I think to me that what happened was but I mean, you got to realize that this has been, you know, our grandparents and parents and great grandparents have been building that for generations. They've been building a first world country for a long, long time, and we benefit from that. But what I feel is happening now is that this country is just dead set on creating debt slaves. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you have a house, you have I mean, you may not own your house. Maybe you have an apartment. I mean, most people, I think this in terms, especially in California, it's becoming extremely difficult for people to buy a house, you know, and you have stuff, but 90% of your wages go straight to paying everything off you know what I mean? And I do feel like that the way that the education and health systems are set up, that it just makes that, you know, it just makes it. And on the other hand, like I feel like some of these other places, because there is a safety net, you know what I mean? They have a lot more they have a lot less sort of just regularly disposable income. So sometimes it's more difficult, you know, somebody could afford to go out and, you know, buy an 8-ball instead of, you know what I mean, in a way that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do. But it's just a weird thing. I don't know. But culturally, every place is a little bit different. And I think that, you know, as much as I love all of my friends, the culture of this country is just not something I want to be associated with anymore.
It's definitely, I mean, we've all felt it.
Yeah.
The deterioration of just.
It's the much more macro version of why I moved, you know?
Yeah.
Like the hardest thing about LA was all of the great people that I was friends with there, but just as a as a city, as a culture, it just wasn't a place I could continue to spend my time. And I have, ever since I first went there, decided that that one day New Zealand would be the place where I spent the last years of my life. And I'd be lying if I said that the desire to move there has not increased substantially.
Well, I mean, everything you do is via internet. Why couldn't you guys just go now? I mean, seriously.
It's a little bit too big of a jump for other people who would be affected.
Got it.
I'm not going to call anybody out. I'm not going to say anything that would potentially, you know, be
identifying
towards anybody that I happen to be sleeping with.
For instance.
I mean, there's top of my head way out there. But yeah, I get it. It's a shit show these days. Yeah.
And this freaking Confederacy thing is just so fucking stupid. But it is. But yeah, I mean, I know they have racism in other places too, so I know that that's something that will exist wherever we go. But you know, it's interesting.
Yeah, the thing that really riled me up was that, you know, I thought it would die out with the previous generation. And then that HBO Vice thing showed me that, like, oh no, like college kids are like,
There's not tons of those guys though. I mean, and those guys are all getting called out and getting fired from their jobs. You know, I mean, I honestly feel like, by the way, did you know that millennials are from like anyone who was born from 1980 to like 2000?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Kendall, that makes Kendall a millennial.
Yeah.
My wife's a millennial. Oh, that's hilarious.
You married a millennial, Chad.
I married a millennial, and I'm Gen X. I'm definitely Gen X. So the new one is Generation. So basically, it was Gen X. Another name for millennials is Gen Y, and then Gen Z are kids now, right? These guys, the kids that are coming up now are pretty amazing in a lot of ways.
I know, they
And
suck.
huh?
They're so smart, you know. It's like they're gonna take all of our jobs.
Not mine.
Well, there won't be any. It's all robots in the future. No one will have jobs.
I was reading, there's this study by Awesomeness TV, which is actually online. You can read it, but like they have like this 64-page study that they did on Gen Z, and it's fascinating. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
Cool. We'll put a link in the description.
Sure. If you want to know all about the kids, yes, I will put a link.
Excellent.
All about what the kids want these days.
What those kids?
What do they want?
With their YouTubes.
So I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's. I don't want it to be. We could talk about. There's not a new Marvel movie. There's not a new. We can talk about how
Thor Ragnarok is coming out in November.
Coming out soon. I'm very excited. We can talk about how much I'm enjoying how much everybody dislikes the Iron Fist and the Defenders because of the Iron Fist.
Did you guys see it yet?
No, I have not. I have no interest.
I just really. Oh, you don't.
I'm not a horror movie guy at all.
That's right. I forgot that. Oh my god, it was so scary.
I've heard. Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
It was so scary. I mean, to me, I know a lot of people weren't scared by it, but I found it frightening.
I'm excited about Ready Player One.
I'm not.
Me too. You're not?
No.
I love that book. Why don't you think it's?
You know, so we've talked a lot about how you can have like there's a degree of separation between artist and work, and and everyone has to decide where that line is. Well, turns out I can no longer support Ernest Cline or whoever the fuck it was.
No, why? What happened?
He's just gross. It's a long story,
really?
But yeah, and then people like, and the grossness really came out when people pointed out. So if you look at the book,
Mm-hmm.
It itself is like it has some cool things. It has some like slightly weird things, like in his list of like all of like tremendously popular and awesome 80s pop culture that he went through all of like the 80s classics and everything, and on the list of all of the artists, comic books, video games and everything like that, like there's nothing created by women. So there's little stuff like that, and it's sort of like I mean, okay, but like writing from his own, you know, like that wasn't the thing. But then it was his response to criticisms like that, and also just a bunch of stuff that like he has a blog, and his publicist should have taken down that blog way before he ever got a publishing contract. It's not great. It's not great. So now I'm just like, well, thanks. Now I can't even enjoy this fucking movie that I was looking forward to.
You can't enjoy anything anymore.
You can, though. You can. There's so many things out there that can totally be enjoyed. So would creators stop? We want to enjoy your things.
But that's the thing, right? Like, aren't you glad that happened? Because now you know what a shit person he is. And
I'm not glad that I get what you're saying. I'm not glad that it happened because it meant that it happened. Like he could have not done those things in the first place.
Well, what if he did those things and then he never said anything?
Sure. Yeah.
Enjoyed his stuff, and then So
talk more about Iron Fist.
Let's not.
Let's not. All right, guys. We move to the end of the end. We have community news, and I'm sort of like also Eric Altman says Punisher is coming, which I am excited for that.
Punisher is coming.
He also says Iron Fist sucks so bad. Thank you, Eric. And it was amazing, which apparently it was. Eric also said people who weren't scared by it have issues and should be monitored for an intact sanity. My view is like, shut up. Stop being such a hipster. Oh, the movie didn't scare me. Shut the fuck. Shut up.
I was freaking out. I jumped so freaking, like one time I was like shaking in my seat, like side to side. I was like, what is happening to me? I was so scared. I really enjoyed it. I might share though.
I might check. There's some horror movies that people say are so good that I watch them, and like I don't enjoy the experience, but I'm glad that I studied it, I guess, you know, so I might check it out. But yeah, we're as we approach the end, community news. Don't go to iTunes and rate the show. Don't bother. What's the point? Don't do it. Watch, we get like a 500 fucking ratings. What's happening this Wednesday, Chad?
Up on our feet is happening. Up on our feet night is happening this Wednesday night. It will be for the next 2 nights. We're going to be in the second stage, which used to be the Asylum there at Sacred Fools, and then the last Wednesday in September we're actually going to be at the Complex, which is a little bit further down Santa Monica Boulevard. I can't remember which theater, but I don't know actually if we're gonna pick. I think they'll tell us when we get there. It's one of those 2 main theaters right there at the Complex, and then we're gonna be there the first 2 Wednesdays in October as well, and then we are back at Sacred Fools. Sacred Fools is doing this really crazy show apparently coming up where they need the entire. It's like the show is throughout their entire building, which sounds kind of exciting. Yeah, and then rumor has it. Not rumor has it, they just don't know yet if their liquor license petition came through yet, but they're building that bar. I don't know if anyone has noticed all the construction going on there.
Oh, I didn't know that was a bar.
Oh, I moved back to LA.
It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice, and that's where we're gonna go after every show. Clearly, it's really cool. They kind of showed me. Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. So that hopefully will be opening soon. So yeah. So
cool.
There's all that. Yeah,
and that's yes, good. That's the schedule for the next little bit coming up.
Yep.
And finally, well, not. I mean, we do have things to know, but We Make Movies is the only filmmaking community in the world, so far as we know, that is entirely supported by its community, and that primarily happens through Patreon. By now, you know what Patreon is. Go to Patreon, support We Make Movies on there. It's how everything happens. Everything, not just We Make Movies.
And there's a lot of cool perks. There's a lot of cool. There's all this gear that we're getting now.
Yeah,
you're going to be able to get at half price.
Yeah,
and it's already cheap.
Yeah,
the half price is like ridiculous. So,
and you help people make movies. That's what we do. It's in the fucking name. It's We Make Movies.
We need to update our Patreon, you guys. By the way, because I'm on it right now, and the last update was in 2014.
Wait, did we do? We've never done updates. That's not the point.
Oh, like posts, like you're talking about posts on the thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're just pulling stuff off our YouTube. We never did those. Like, I don't think, but that's not
like
that might be a thing worth doing though.
Because you like go on to it, and then the first thing that you see is a post from 2014.
Do they do posts? That's how it works now?
Yeah, you post. I post on there whenever I publish a YouTube video because people subscribe for my YouTube videos. But they could just subscribe to my YouTube channel, but it keeps keeps
when you see the posts, yes.
Yeah, keeps you in communication with them.
Yeah.
Also, if you don't want to do the voluntary subscription thing to support We Make Movies because you're an asshole. No, because you can't, or because you don't want to, because that's not your thing. We also have a button at wemakemovies.org/donate where you can
Sorry, let me update. It's blog.wemakemovies.org/update now.
Correct. /donate. Not update, right?
Well, our website changed.
Right. No, but you said blog.wemakemovies.org/donate. Right?
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, you said update.
Said? Update. Sorry, donate.
If you go to update, you will not be able to donate. But if you go to donate, you will.
It's going out with a whimper.
What a great end of the show. Let's try and bring it back with things to know. My thing to know is I'll just reiterate, I have a new book coming out, and it's coming out very, very soon. It's called Yaren. It is going to get more angry emails than any book I've ever written. My editor just finished her first pass through the book a few days ago. She actually tweeted me that she was sobbing, like sitting at her desk, weeping, which made me feel great. And I'm not being sarcastic.
In the same universe?
Somebody dies?
Yeah, all my books, except for the earlier ones, but all these books, they're all in the same universe. It's
who dies?
I'm not telling you, but somebody, maybe somebody's.
Multiple deaths.
Yes.
Who did you kill, Garrett?
I messed up the order, but Valentina, what do you have to know?
Dude, like, I feel like I can't say whatever's next because it'll be irrelevant because this is the last episode, so I can never like keep it updated, you know. So all I'll say is like anything that happens, I tweet about it. So that's it at Valentina V. Look out if you're a Premiere Pro user, you might.
Oh, that's so much smarter than just like one book. Ugh, God. Okay, fine.
It's not like anyone doesn't know your Twitter handle, Garrett.
That's
but
true.
If you would like to say it, I yield the floor.
It's Garrett Author.
Great.
Chad.
So with 2 R's.
Oh, thank you.
My thing to know, Hipster Sweatshop. Trust me, you got to go see it as soon as I can figure out where to produce it. Go to hipstersweatshopmusical.com. Sign up for our newsletter. I will make sure you know.
Come to a show in Portland.
I would love to.
Excellent.
Set that up.
All right, guys.
It's been fun.
It's been really fun. Oh man, there's so much chat. Why are you guys doing this at the end? Assholes. Patrick, Eric.
Oh, I forgot to say one thing that I did over the
sweatshop, not sweat suck. Damn it, Patrick Duncan said hipster sweat.
So, just real quick, I have been listening to this podcast, the Tobolowsky Files, since like 2011. It's been my favorite podcast for like all time. And a couple months ago, I got to produce a live video episode of it, of my favorite podcast.
Cool.
That's amazing.
That's what I wanted to say.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Oh, God, we've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we've talked about so many things that we were right about. We were right all along.
We were right. So
why didn't they just fucking listen?
I feel like I'm never going to see you two ever again. Like,
that is not true. I'm not going to let that happen.
Okay.
I come down to LA all the time. I'm going to literally show up at your house.
I'm here, so my couches plural are for you and available. So
excellent. And actually, I was giving them shit a second ago, but honestly, Eric and Patrick have been our most regular live viewers. And so it is.
And Jared.
And Jared. Where's Jared? What the hell, Jared? You joke. But yeah, so thanks guys. It's been a blast, and we'll all be off doing cool things together again soon, and we'll see you then.